Before we start, why is politics considered science? It's because political science is considered a science that employs the scientific method to study political phenomena, analyzing power dynamics, government structures, and political behavior through empirical research, data collection, and hypothesis testing, aiming to develop theories and explanations based on observable facts, similar to other social sciences like sociology or economics. Back to our what-if question, Canada becoming the next state of the United States of America. Oh, Canada, our hat. Eh? All right, let's get weird. What if Canada, the land of moose, mounties, and politely saying sorry after you get punched in the face, decided to ditch its own flag and become the 51st state? It sounds like the plot of a terrible sitcom, but bear with me. Imagine a world where Justin Trudeau is suddenly holding town halls in Iowa, trying to convince folks to trade their shotguns for hockey sticks. Imagine Americans being forced to learn the metric system again. Imagine a presidential debate where one candidate threatens to invade Denmark if Greenland doesn't join the Union too. It's enough to make you spit out your Tim Hortons coffee, eh? But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break this down. First up, the economy. Now, Canada's got its own thing going on with its loonies, toonies, and enough maple syrup to drown a bear. Not that we'd ever want to do that to those majestic creatures, but would joining the US be an economic slam dunk? Or would it leave Canadians feeling like they just got traded to the Cleveland Browns? On the one hand, access to the US market could be huge for Canadian businesses. Plus, think of the gas prices. Americans would be driving across the border just to fill up their tanks. On the other hand, some Canadians might worry about losing control of their own resources. Kind of like when you let your friend borrow your favorite sweater, and it comes back smelling like cheap beer and regret. It's a tough call, folks. But hey, at least we'd all be united under one currency. Just imagine, no more trying to figure out the exchange rate when you're buying poutine at Niagara Falls. Now, let's talk culture, baby. Canadians and Americans, we're like siblings, separated at birth. We both love our flannel, our beer, and complaining about the government. But we've also got our differences. For starters, Canadians have this weird obsession with putting mayonnaise on their French fries. It's called poutine, and frankly, it's just wrong. I lied, because I actually love dipping my fries in mayo. To be more accurate, Tabasco and mayo. But we all have our differences in taste. And don't even get me started on their healthcare system. Free healthcare? Who do they think they are? Some kind of socialist utopia. But hey, maybe a little cultural exchange wouldn't be so bad. Americans could learn to appreciate the finer points of curling, and Canadians could finally experience the joy of a deep-fried Oreo. It's a win-win, right? Section 4. The Maple Leaf versus the Stars and Stripes. A question of values. Of course, no discussion of a US-Canada merger would be complete without talking about the elephant in the room. Politics. Canadians, with their universal health care and their sensible gun laws, might look at the US political system and think, what in the Tim Hortons is going on down there? And they wouldn't be wrong. The US, with its two-party system and its penchant for electing reality TV stars to high office, can seem like a bit of a circus act at times. Would Canadians be willing to trade in their more progressive values for a piece of the American pie? It's a question that only Canadians can answer. But one thing's for sure, it would make for one heck of a political debate. Section 5. the Trump card. Imagine proposing this idea to Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, in 2025. How would he react? Would he embrace the idea of Canada becoming the next state of the USA? Well, let's take a moment to imagine the scenario. Picture this. President Trump, sitting in the Oval Office, his golden hair perfectly coiffed as he hears the proposal. Canada, the 51st state, he muses. Tremendous idea. Huge. Believe me, nobody loves Canada more than I do. Great people, great hockey. But then, the reality sets in. Universal health care, sensible gun laws. Not so fast, Trump might say. We need to talk about these things, bigly. After all, merging two countries with such different values and systems would be no small feat. And what about the Canadians? Would they be willing to trade in their progressive values for a taste of the American dream? Maybe Trump would try to sweeten the deal. We'll make Canada great again, he might promise. Together, we'll be unstoppable. It's an intriguing possibility, full of potential and pitfalls. But one thing's for sure, it would make for some fascinating headlines. So, while we may never see President Trump welcoming Canada into the fold, it's fun to imagine the what-ifs and maybes of such a bold move. And who knows, in the world of politics, anything is possible. Just ask Donald Trump. Section 5. So you're saying there's a chance? So there you have it. The hypothetical merger of Canada and the U.S., a recipe for chaos, confusion, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of progress. Would it ever actually happen? Probably not. But hey, it's fun to think about, right? Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go practice my Canadian accent. I'm thinking something along the lines of, how about we take this discussion outside, eh? I've got a hockey stick with your name on it. Just kidding. Or am I? Anyway, that's our show for tonight. Stay tuned for next week when we'll be tackling the hard-hitting questions like, why do Americans call it soccer? And what's the deal with Canadians and ketchup chips? Until then, here's a Canadian joke and an American joke to tide you over. Why did the Canadian cross the road? To get to the American side and use their health care. Why did the American cross the road? Nobody knows. He lost his health care coverage. Good night.